Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So first off, I like to get an idea of who my audience is during these presentations. So by a raise of hands, how many of you have flown a drone before? Oh my gosh, a lot of people. That's so awesome. All right, and so how many of you are a Part 107 drone licensed pilot? Okay, that is great. And then for those who didn't raise their hand, how many of you are just curious about drones, maybe adding it as a tool to your content creation skills? Okay, awesome. I love to understand who everybody is. As a storyteller, it's always important to understand who your audience is. Is my mic okay? I'm like, okay, cool. Great, so as I mentioned, I'm Elena. I am a Part 107 drone pilot, content creator, marketer at Google, and I'm also the founder of Women Who Drone. My background is deeply immersed in video production, so I've really worn all hats, including production assistant, drone operator, camera operator, on-air talent, and I've also been a full-time video editor. So I have really done it all in video production, but today I'm here to talk to you about drone technology and how drone technology has really enhanced my professional career as a video production artist. But all of that really started somewhere, and that very specific moment for me was on the Great Wall of China. Now, I had always wanted to visit the Great Wall ever since I was a young girl. And finally, when I set out to do so, as a professional video producer, I knew I wanted to capture this experience, but I wasn't really too sure how. So when I finally set out to do so, I did some research. I came across drone technology, and I realized that this was the technology I needed to put my camera in the sky. So on that day in April of 2017, this was a pivotal moment for me because it marked the day where I now had wings for my passion. Moving forward, I continued to fly drones, and it wasn't just on the Great Wall of China that I finally was able to put my camera in the sky, but I started to travel everywhere with my drone. It became my +1 or my travel companion. And I fell in love with aerial photography and videography, and I sort of made a pivot from ground camera work to being an aerial photographer and videographer. So my drone didn't just give me a new perspective, it completely transformed how I experienced the world with my camera. I then became obsessed with capturing content from a bird's eye view. I not only just captured content, I would do research and find hikes and different areas to get different epic shots with my drone. I would go on drone trips and I would go on different trips to just capture my drone with my car. So this is an image of me on Bixby Bridge, which is anybody familiar with the one highway in California? So this was really exciting for me because I planned this trip and I stopped at every moment I could get, whether it was sunset or sunrise. I got a ton of shots with my drone. And if you see really small red car right there, that is actually my car. So I wanted to add every landscape to my portfolio, so I went on a trip to Arizona and different deserts to make sure that I could do so. And I think from here, when I was actually living in San Francisco around this time, when I started flying drones, I started to capture city landscapes, and then eventually I made my way to New York City. So this is a shot from Greenpoint. I think in 2017, I think it was mentioned that the laws are very restricted to fly drones in New York City. So at the time, this was possible. But I would say New York City is really where my drone career took flight, no pun intended. And it was October of 2017. I was studying for my Part 107 drone pilot license. And I started to really immerse myself in the drone piloting community. And I met a ton of drone pilots that were out in New York City, but also getting a ton of messages from people on Instagram and on Facebook about how to get started flying drones. Most of those people were actually women asking me questions about how to get started, what drone should I buy, Do you have any tips or tricks? And can you teach me how to fly a drone? And I knew I didn't have all of the answers. So I, of course, wrote all of them back, but it started to make me think, where are all the women who drone? And so I did some research, and at the time in 2017, I came across the airman statistics, which are updated every year on the FAA website. Around this time, there were 135,000 drone pilots in the US, and of those, less than 4% were women. Now, this wasn't too shocking because the Part 107 drone license came out in 2016, so this was a year later, but it was an interesting fact, and I wanted to make sure I could try to do something about it just because I had so many people reaching out. Today, there's been a little bit of progress, and that number has moved slowly, but in 7 years, not enough. And today, there's about 420,000 drone pilots, and some of you are here today. And of those, less than 9% of those licensed drone pilots in the US are women. Now, I look at these statistics every single year just to make sure we're understanding if we're even making an impact. Last year, unfortunately, it went down 3%. Last year was close to 10%. So there's still a lot of work to be done, and this is exactly why I started Women Who Drone. So Women Who Drone is an online platform and community. We inspire, educate, and empower women and girls with drone technology. And we're really doing this in a number of ways. We first like to start off with storytelling. As a storyteller and a content creator myself, I am a true believer that you cannot be what you cannot see. And so for us, we like to start off with stories and share the different ways that women are using drones around the world to either advance their careers or to capture content. So for storytelling, we not only want to reach our growing community of current female drone pilots, but we want to reach younger girls in different schools and middle schools. So we go to schools and we walk in with a drone, and no one's really excited with this device we have in our hands. We share some stories, which we call them our pilot spotlights. I'll be sharing a few today with you all. And after they watch the pilot spotlights, they get so excited, and we ask them if they want to fly a drone, and everybody raises their hand. So we do think by inspiring and encouraging with storytelling, that is the best way to spark interest. Then, of course, we want to educate them. So, as I mentioned, we've gone to several schools in New York City, in San Diego. We go to universities. We work with organizations like Girls Inc., Girl Scouts of America, Columbia University, and school districts to bring drones into the classroom and teach them about this technology. We then take them outside and actually get them on the sticks. So they get to capture content like we all capture with our drones. Of course, we want to make sure that they understand the safety and the regulations, which I'll get to later, before we even get them out there. And lastly, we want to make sure we are empowering our community, not just beyond education and inspiration. We want to make sure that we're with them their entire drone journey, and if they need tips or they need help getting a job, they can come to us and we provide resources for them. And a few ways we're doing this is we offer workshops, one-on-one lessons, drone retreats. We actually had a drone retreat, a 3-day overnight drone retreat last week in San Diego, so it's been a busy couple of weeks for me. And here's a few images of those students who were actually brand spanking new to learning about drone technology, and they walked away with a pilot spotlight of their own. And of course, we want to create access. A lot of the universities and schools that we do go to, unfortunately, don't have access to drones or drone programming, so that's where we come in. We bring the drones, we bring the curriculum, we train their teachers, and then we train their teachers how to teach our curriculum so that they can bring that to their classrooms. And of course, we want to make sure that our community is getting opportunities. So we have a job board, we have a pilot database where they can add their names to, and if people and companies post to our job board, we connect them to the best of our ability. A few really exciting opportunities that we've had in the past, which I have up here on the screen, is we were able to shoot celebrity cruises out in the Cayman Islands for Women's Month, which was a really awesome experience. And Believe it or not, I was actually casted in a Mercedes-Benz commercial, which is so random, but they wanted to compare their Eco Assist system on their new car to FPV drone piloting. And if you all have flown an FPV drone, that is a completely different immersive experience. And there's just a few examples of that. And then lastly, a part of our empowerment pillar is we want to make sure that you're not just collecting dust on your hard drives or your SD cards with content. We want to help you monetize that content. So in 2018, we developed a partnership with Getty Images, and we created what's called the Women Who Drone Collection. So that allows our community to be able to become a contributor, upload your aerial content, whether it's photos or videos, and it allows them to monetize and license their content. So it's really a passive income, and the more you upload and the more volume there is, the more likely you're able to monetize that content. So how are drones really elevating content? In the words of our community, here's a few quotes that I found. I think what's truly inspiring about having a community of people who are flying drones is that you can help each other elevate your content, elevate your careers, and I think for us, it's been just instrumental in inspiring a new generation of girls, women, and I think I want to mention that we also teach men, so for the men in the room, if you haven't flown a drone, we teach everybody, but we really, really want to advocate because of those small numbers in the piloting statistics. We want to advocate to get girls and women involved, but we teach men too. And so I think what's really powerful is the storytelling and the community and connection aspect. So as I mentioned before, we have been bringing these pilot spotlights to schools and to universities and to events like this where we want to showcase what these stories are. And so I have 4 videos that I'm going to be showing you all today. The first 2 videos is actually going to be the premiere. Nobody has seen them, so it's except for myself and then the creators. Those 2 creators are actually here today, and so I'm excited to share their stories with you. The first video you'll see is Ella, or Elena. We have the same name, but I call her Ella. And she has been with Women Who Drone for the past 7 years. She's been a content creator for us, a drone instructor. She has taught at Vaughn College of Aeronautics as a professor teaching drone programming. She's taught at drone workshops for Columbia University. And she is also one of our curriculum developers. And then we have Megan, who is also here today. She joined us last summer, and she has been teaching our summer camps for middle schools and high schools out in San Diego, California, and she taught our drone retreat last week. And both of these women come with a wealth of filmmaking knowledge, but also a wealth of drone operation knowledge. So I'm super excited to show their videos, and then there will be 2 other videos after that, and then we'll jump right back into some more information.
Back in 2018, drones changed my life. I met Elena Buenrostro, founder of Women Who Drone, and joined the team. We hosted drone lessons on Brooklyn rooftop with the New York City skyline as our backdrop. That passion opened incredible doors, from flying in the Cayman Islands with celebrity cruises to capturing bold, colorful drone shots over Manhattan. And eventually, I became an adjunct professor at Vaughn College, teaching drone technology to the next generation of engineers and pilots. But the most meaningful flights, they've been in Costa Rica, my second home. Flying over volcanoes and beaches that feel like dreams, I've grown even more connected to my heritage and the planet. Drones have taken me on the most unexpected and beautiful journey, and I know it's only just beginning. The skies have taught me a lot. The biggest lesson? Give yourself grace. Creativity is a muscle. The more you fly, the more you'll grow. And travel. Travel often. Every new place opens your eyes, your heart, and your sense of wonder. Because this journey, it's more than flying drones. It's about discovering who you are, what you love, and how far you're willing to go to chase it. So fly often, create boldly, dream bigger than you think you can. Because the sky is not the limit, it's just the beginning. My name is Ella, and this is my story. The past few years have been incredible. As a travel filmmaker, I've had the opportunity to exchange smiles and stories with people from every corner of the world. All it takes is one fleeting moment, a conversation, a smile, or even a view to change your perspective on everything. That's why I love drones so much. As a creator, the ability to tell my story from a totally new perspective is the most grounding experience. I've learned to never leave my house without a drone. That way, I'm able to capture each precious moment from a wider lens. After graduating college, I took a trip around the world and fell in love with drone filmmaking. I spent every single day perfecting my skills because I knew this was something I could make a career out of. I worked every travel job you could imagine, including both flight attendant and yacht chef. These jobs allowed me to travel nonstop and gave me access to some of the most beautiful places on the planet. While working aboard the yacht, I spent all my free time learning how to shoot and edit marketable content. When I returned back to Miami, I co-founded a drone production company specializing in filming yachts. More recently, I've spent time as a drone instructor here at Women Who Drone, teaching all ages and levels how to fly, properly expose a video, and post-production editing. I'm so thankful for all these opportunities and can't wait to continue to grow as a drone filmmaker. Thanks for watching.
I first fell in love with drone cinematography 5 years ago when I saw the blue Caribbean waters for the first time from the sky. I could see the world from a whole new perspective, tell a story with now so much more depth and movement. Whether it's seeing wildlife, droning gorgeous landscapes, beaches or canyons, nothing beats the rush of getting that shot. Every flight brings a new feeling, a new experience, and a new memory. You never know what you can do until you do it, so get out there, see the world, and capture it. My name is Monica Walton, and I'm a certified drone pilot. My drone, my passion, my wings.
I started flying drones late of 2015. My fascination of the ocean from above is what really intrigued me in the first place. Seeing this whole new perspective is what really fueled my passion. One of my all-time favorite drone experiences would be when flying my drone in the Seychelles. I personally love to shoot coastlines and anything that screams out tropical paradise, and this place sure exceeded my expectations. It took my droning experience to a whole new level that some of my greatest drone work were taken from here, and ones that still render me speechless to this day. My best piece of advice would be to do it for the love of it and not for anything else. You can only become truly accomplished at anything if you truly love what you do and believe in yourself. Focus on mastering your craft and becoming better at it every single day. Being a woman who drones for me really is all about following our dreams as creatives and empowering other women along the way to follow theirs. My name is Mare Watson. I'm an aerial photographer and visual artist. Life is short, go explore and create magic.
Every time I watch those, I get teary-eyed and I just get inspired every time. I just want to go out and fly my drone. So I'm going to pivot and focus on drone applications and basic laws. Just knowing that there's a lot of drone pilots here, you know a lot of this information, but for those of you who are not, it's important to know this information and maybe a good refresher for those who are already flying. So there's a lot of different ways to use your drone. I never like to call it the drone industry because there are a lot of industries that are leveraging drones. So here's just a few of them, but there's so much more ways that drones are being leveraged, from real estate to tourism, to marketing and advertising, film and television, even construction. And I think a few slides back, we had a picture up there with us and Martha Stewart, who actually uses drones to monitor her gardens. So there's different ways that drones can be used around the world. And we're only just scratching the surface here. Now, I always like to call out the difference between a commercial drone pilot and a hobbyist. So a hobbyist is someone that doesn't have a drone license. You can go to B&H right now, purchase a drone, and you could go fly it. You may not know all the laws and regulations. It's important to know them, but you would be considered a hobbyist. Now, a licensed drone pilot would be someone who can fly a drone legally to make money. And a lot of people don't know this difference. I've talked to many people, and there's some people I'm talking to, and they're like, yeah, I got this job next week, and I'm like, oh, cool, that's awesome. So you have your Part 107? They're like, no. And I'm like, well, it's technically illegal to be doing that. So this is a big one that I always like to share with newbies or just people in general, that to make money legally, you must have your Part 107 drone license. Then there's the basic laws and regulations. So a lot of you know, those who said that you're a Part 107 drone pilot, or maybe you own a drone, you have to register your drone with the FAA if it's if it's over 250 grams or 0.55 pounds. This is a really important first step, and it is required by law to do so. I know there's one drone out there that it's pretty new, and it's under 250 grams, so you could get away with not registering that one. The next one is visual line of sight. So this is super important when you're flying your drone. You need to make sure that you can see it in the sky. If it goes behind a building, or if you can't see it anymore, that's not a good thing. Oftentimes, if you're doing a job as a licensed drone pilot, you want to make sure you have someone called a visual observer who can monitor their drone in the sky while you're getting that perfect shot. And then, of course, 400 feet. You should not be going over 400 feet unless you have authorization to do so, and you can get authorization as a Part 107 drone pilot. But really, that's when helicopter airspace starts to come in, and so you don't want to go above that. It's really important not to interfere with manned aircraft because it could potentially be a catastrophe if something does happen. And then, of course, stay within a 5-mile radius, outside of a 5-mile radius of an airport. This is really obvious reasons. You don't want to interrupt any manned aircraft. Of course, if you're a Part 107 drone pilot, you could get authorization if you have a job you need to do. And then operations over people. This is possible if you're a Part 107 drone pilot, but you do have to follow just some specific procedures, and in certain categories, they're a little different. There's 4 categories. And then, of course, it's prohibited if you're a hobbyist. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you have your pilot in command, and then you have your visual observer. The pilot in command must be Part 107 certified and is legally the one that's responsible for the entire drone operation. So anything that happens with the drone, whether it crashes, which is hard to do, but it happens, any interruption, connection error, this is going to be the pilot in command's responsibility. And then there's a visual observer who is going to be communicating with you on the ground. Now, for me, if I'm doing a really important job and it's paid, of course, I always recommend to have a visual observer. This is going to be your right-hand buddy who's going to make sure that they have eyes on the drone while you get the most perfect shot. And usually when you're trying to get a perfect shot, you can't be going up and down like this. You got to stare at your screen. So I always recommend having a visual observer if you're doing any sort of paid work with a drone. And constant communication between these two is extremely important. And then, of course, there's flying in different airspace. This is just some different rules to know. There are different classes of airspace: Class B, Class C. Class G airspace is the space that we can actually fly in with no problem if you're practicing with your drone. Now, the other classes of airspace, you're going to want to make sure you do get authorization. You can do this easily through a new system called Lance, and that's through an app, a couple of apps you can do it through, but I like to use Aloft. And then we have what's called temporary flight restrictions, which is TFRs. This is typically when maybe a political figure comes to town or maybe a baseball event. They will put temporary flight restrictions over those areas. It will be really big in red, and it means do not fly in this area. It's prohibited. And then you always want to check NOTAMs, which is Notice to Airmen. You can check these online as well. And then, of course, as mentioned in previous slides, you want to respect airspace restrictions and always just make sure you're keeping visual line of sight of your drone. Now I'm going to jump into some best practices and some common shots that I like to teach our students in our curriculum and our workshops and our retreat, especially if you're a beginner, and it'll really help you get better on the sticks. First and foremost, some tips that I like to give everybody is create a shot list. Just like pre-production in filmmaking, pre-production in drone content creation is extremely important. So creating a shot list for a paid job is really important. If you're just out there trying to practice, maybe not so much. But if you're going to be wasting batteries, SD cards, and you're working for a client, time is money. I'm sure you've all heard that saying. So just make sure you plan a shot list for every drone operation. I always like to tell people to be intentional about your shots. My motto is slow is pro. I don't know if you've ever seen, maybe it's happened to you, it's happened to me in my early years of flying. You go out, you get some shots, you come back in, you realize that you were probably recording for 5 minutes, and it's just a lot of jerky shots, and you're moving around, you're trying to find the best shot, and you just wasted a ton of SD card memory and some batteries. So I always like to shoot in 20-second to 30-second intervals, and mostly because oftentimes I'm uploading that content to our Getty Images Women Who Drone collection, and they only like the 20 to 30-second shots. And so I don't have to edit every single shot out and export it. So I think that's always helpful to just make sure you are getting smooth shots, not jerky ones, and then thinking about how you're going to chop it up later. And then, of course, follow the rules, as mentioned. Make sure you're checking your airspace, checking for any TFRs, and understanding the weather. The weather is going to be key. You do not want to fly in the rain, so that's going to also be part of your pilot checklist or your pre-production checklist. And then, of course, if you need a license in that area, again, you need to be Part 107 drone certified, but if you're going out to do a job, just make sure you're checking the airspace to see if you're going to need authorization for any reason. Now, jumping into some shots that I like to share with people. So, who's ever heard of the droney? Yeah, a few people? Okay. It's actually a built-in feature, but I like to tell people to master this shot manually. It's basically a selfie with your drone. You can use it across social, very easy to do, but it's also a really good one to practice because you're using both sticks on your remote control, and you're going slow as pro. There's a lot of features on the drone that you could use to make it go slow or go fast, and then I usually like to edit these so that it starts off slow, speed it up, and then end slow. Then there's the reveal shot. I really like this shot because it could be a great establishing shot for filmmakers that are creating maybe a bigger video with a lot of ground camera work. It really shows perspective of the space you're in, and you could pitch forward, which means going backwards, or you could pitch backwards, and you can reveal, there's a little, for those of you who know, you have your little dial on the left side, and you could reveal the shot with your camera by tilting it upwards. Then we have the asteroid shot. So this is really built into the most DJI drones. It's part of the quick shots or intelligent flight feature. And this one is really easy to do. You simply highlight yourself or the subject you want to do an asteroid from, and it will go up 150 feet into the sky. It'll do a panorama, and then it'll stitch it together for you. So there's no post-production needed for this particular shot. I really like this shot. I like how it comes out. I post it a lot on my Instagram. You'll probably see it there if you go there. And it's just a really easy one to get and something that a lot of our beginner students really love. Then there's the hyperlapse shot, which is a motion time lapse. Now, this particular shot, you want to make sure you're planning for sure, because it's going to take the most battery and it's going to take the most time. A lot of these shots will take anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, and I believe the best drone battery, I think, is on the Mavic 3, which is about 45 minutes. So you want to make sure you absolutely plan this shot out. Look for days with clouds, maybe lighting, but this is one of my favorite shots. So long as you plan it, it's definitely well worth doing. And then, of course, the orbit or the point of interest shot. It used to be called point of interest, but I think it's now called the orbit shot. But essentially, it's a circle around an object or a structure. In this case, these are a couple landmarks out in San Diego, Class G airspace, of course. And I always like to tell people to try to manually do this. It is an intelligent flight feature where you could just highlight the object and it'll do a perfect circle around it, which is fine. You could do that if you're not too savvy on the sticks yet. But I do like to train people how to manually do this, because practicing this shot along with the reveal shot will make you really, really good on the sticks, and it will just perfect your drone piloting skills. And then last but not least, I just want to encourage everybody here to embrace aerial content. Drone operation is truly an added skill for most content creators. It's a new tool of getting your camera in the sky. And if you're already a drone pilot, you know what this feels like. They just not recently, but FPV droning is a whole new thing that a lot of pilots are starting to get their hands on, which creates new cinematic shots. And I think, had you told me, I don't know, 7, even 5 years ago that I'd be traveling the world, speaking at universities, conferences, and different schools about drone technology and how I've been leveraging it in my career, there's no way I would have believed you. So, thanks. And so I think I just want to share that I am proof that drones not only enhanced my professional career, but it's really enhanced my life. So I'll leave you all with that. I hope you learned something new, and maybe you're curious about drones, you want to pick up a drone, or you want to learn more. You could check us out on our website. I actually have a QR code, but thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Just could you briefly talk about the regulations that DJI is facing, and if so, what are the backup plans, or what is another brand that might compete with them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know that's sort of an ongoing battle that's happening right now. I really want to buy the Avata 2, but it's been sold out and it's been obviously very pricey. I think an alternative, it's really hard because DJI drones are really great pieces of technology and they have really great cameras. I do have a Skydio 2. I think that is truly the alternative. As far as regulation goes, I think just even over the years, this was something that was popping up in 2017 when I first got involved in drones. And so I think it's just sort of a waiting game to see where we land. I don't have like a promising answer. I think for me, I'm hoping that something could be worked out, but I would say the only alternative, unless any of the drone pilots here have an answer to that, is the Skydio brand.
Hi.
Or go to Canada.
Hi.
Yes. Hi.
I have a question. Is there any conceivable way in New York City to fly under the recreational, registered drone under 250 grams anyway?
Under 250 grams, well, it's funny you say that because when I was walking here, I saw somebody flying the little Mavic, is it the new one that just came out, the little Mavic Mini? And so it's possible because it will actually launch, but anything beyond that is not possible as a hobbyist. So As I mentioned, you want to make sure you're following the rules, but anything above 250 grams has to be registered, and even if you're a hobbyist, even if you're a Part 107 drone pilot, you want to make sure you get authorization. I think most of Manhattan is off limits. There's a few companies that have the ability to do it, but just following the airspace, looking at those apps and seeing what's possible, that's going to be your best bet.
We have a question in the back.
Yes.
Hi, I was just wondering if you've had to deal with either hot or cold, like extreme temperatures, and how you navigate that.
Yeah, I have actually. So the battery, whether it's really cold or really hot, will run out very quickly. So I think it's just monitoring it. I don't think there is one way to solve it. I have flown in extremely cold temperatures in the snow, and you just have to, I think the battery cuts the life in half. So that's something to consider. I remember one time we were flying in upstate New York, and our drone just landed itself on a frozen lake. And one of us had to go out there and grab it because even though we were monitoring the battery, and this was probably a Mavic 1, it still couldn't get back to us. And then there was also winds that we had to deal with. For hot temperatures, same thing, battery life. I think it's a little better in hot temperatures than in cold temperatures, but I've flown out in Arizona in 100-degree weather. You just truly have to monitor it and know that if it says it's 20 minutes, I would bring it back sooner than that.
Hello.
Hi.
Name is Alex. I'm iStack Getty exclusive contributor on myself. So 2 questions about your Getty collaboration.
Yeah.
First of all, what is the sense behind collective membership? Because you see, people might be contribute directly without any hassle. What's the idea behind of this? And the second question, it's about Part 207. When I started flying for iStack Getty, it was very strict rules regarding Part 107. We was required to submit a registration, license. Now Getty step away from that. Everybody can submit, everybody can sell aerial imagery on Getty, with or without Part 207. It's kind of unfair competition, you see.
Yeah.
So did you have any conversation with Getty as collective member with some influence about this matter? Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so the first one was about the partnership, and then just about the restrictions. Do they require us to have the Part 107? And you said you're a Getty Images contributor as well? Okay, awesome. Yeah, so that partnership really, I shared earlier, is to empower our community, give them the opportunity to monetize their content. But for us, we want to make sure we're following the regulations as much as we can so that we're encouraging those to get their Part 107 drone license. So everybody that's part of our Women Who Drone collection, we check and want to make sure that they are Part 107 drone certified, because technically they're making money. And as I mentioned, to legally make money as a drone pilot, you have to have that license. So every contributor within our collection has that license. And that's something we talked about early on with Getty Images. I don't know what their intake is with other contributors outside of our collection, but that's something that we have held strong in our partnership, and as a company that really tries to get more people to know the laws, know safety, know the regulations. Because if you think about it, and a lot of you probably have experienced this, if one person messes up, it kind of affects the rest of us drone pilots. So we don't want to be a part of that and encourage just more people to sign up for the Women Who Drone collection just to monetize their content, but we really want to just show and tell them the importance of getting your drone license to be a part of that contributor community. So I hope that answered your question a little bit.
And then we have a question over here on the left. Yeah.
I had a question about applications for flying over 400 feet. Sometimes I find I need to do it, but it's kind of last minute.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips about how to apply for that and kind of making that process a little smoother for when you need to do it?
Yeah, so you can actually do it right away now. There's an app called Aloft. I would say, are you Part 107? Okay, cool. So you just download the app, and whenever let's say you just need to do it, you're out and you realize, you can open up the app, and so long as you're have your account logged in, you should be able to get authorization immediately through Lance. And that was something that they didn't have early on, and I think it was implemented, I want to say 2021, but someone correct me if I'm wrong. So before, you had to wait 90 days. You had to apply through the FAA to get some sort of waiver, and it was a strenuous process, but now you can actually get that immediately on the spot. So just download that app, look up the airspace, and if it's on the fly, you could still do it, so long as you've already made an account, you've uploaded your Part 107 drone license number, you should be able to just get it right away.
My question was very similar with gaining access for restrictions. Like, do you also use Aloft for like flying over people or flying your drone while in a vehicle? And since it's a similar question, are there any FPV simulators you would recommend?
Good question. So for operations over people, I don't believe you can do it through Aloft. That's something, so for example, I had to do this last year for an event I was doing at Comic-Con, and we had to work directly with the Film Commission and then also the FAA to be able to fly over people. And anybody here, keep me honest if you have another way. But to fly over, before you couldn't fly over people. So as you know, the drone FAA and the drone technology is constantly evolving. Now there are ways to fly over people under certain categories that you have to follow. And so it really depends. If it's like a big event like Comic-Con, there are several people that are working with the FAA, including the San Diego Film Commission, and we were able to get authorization through the police department, San Diego Film Commission, and the FAA. So that's like for a big event. But if you're talking about like a concert, or maybe you're just flying over people at the beach, there is not a simple way to do that through an app. You would have to go through the FAA still, as far as I know.
Cool. I think we have time for like 2 more quick questions.
Hello. I was just curious if you have any experiences, right here, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Any experiences with like the permit process with the NYPD? Say you get a gig and it's in 2 weeks. Is that enough time to get a permit? Do you collaborate with the producer? Is it something you do on your own and then tell the producer, hey, I got the permit? What's that collaboration process like in the film industry, specifically in New York City?
In New York City, okay. So if it's a big shoot, you're probably working with the New York City Film Commission, and the producers on set will typically, if they know that they want aerial footage, they should be in touch with the commission, and the commission has the ability to touch base with the FAA. Now, as far as New York City, last I checked, there's only a few companies that have the authorization to fly in Manhattan, so sometimes it's best to go through them. But the process, like I mentioned, we did this for Comic-Con last year. You can't just show up to like a marathon and film the marathon with your drone and fly over people. You have to work with the organizers of the event. So if it is a big Netflix shoot, there's gonna be producers that have this in mind. We're actually, as I mentioned, I also work at Google, so we're doing a big shoot, and we're gonna include drones in our event next month at San Diego Comic-Con, and we're working, again, with the event organizers of Comic-Con, with the San Diego Film Commission, with the police department, and we're letting them know, hey, we're gonna have a drone in the sky, and we have to be in constant communication with them at all times, and telling them when we're launching, what time we're launching, when we're landing, because if there are drones outside of our drones and their drones, they're gonna look to get them down.
Hello. Is there a Women Who Drone group chat? And if so, how do you get in?
Yeah. So I had a QR code, but it's not up here. It's okay. So womenwhodrone.co, and all of our resources are on there. We have a Facebook group, and that's where we have about 3,000 members who are women flying drones, beginners, advanced drone pilots around the globe talking to each other. So I would start there, visit our website. We have a ton, there's the QR code, yay! So if you scan that with your phone. I was really excited about the QR code. So if you scan that with your phone, we can send you more information to get involved. We also have a Part 107 drone preparatory course taught by myself and a lot of people from our community, and we train you to get prepared for that Part 107 drone exam.